and welcome to my channel. My name is Kim, otherwise known as the Booker Harlot, because I love all things Booker Prize related. So the Booker long list is upon us, and actually I think when you watch this, the shortlist will have been announced. But for this vlog, I will be listening to Martin MacInnes's In Ascension, and the audiobook, 1 minute Ripley, is narrated by Freya Miller. Now, this is a sci-fi dystopian first contact kind of novel, which is very intriguing and unusual for the Booker. So I'm very interested to get to this. So while I am listening to this audiobook and driving and listening and taking Ripley for a walk and listening and knitting and doing all the other things that I love, I'll take you along with me. Should we go for a walk, honey? Come on, Ripley. So I thought I would share with you some of the things that have arrived and some of my favorite things. So in terms of book deliveries, I have received The Variations by Patrick Langley. This is sadly the last book I will receive with my Fitzcarraldo subscription, which I highly recommend, but is very expensive. Justifiably, it's not their fault for North Americans. They are a UK based small independent publishing company, and I don't think I've ever read anything by them that wasn't wonderful. And another book arrived, and it is Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. So I think this is the last of the Booker books for me to receive, and I really can't wait to get to this one. The reviews are amazing. And in terms of yarn, I am knitting away on my Sonder yarn. The yarn is called Muse. It's merino and linen. It's a top-down shawl by Melissa Kudlow of Sonder Yarns, and I've got 11 of the 14 stripes done. So that's coming along and should be off the needle soon. Now, in terms of yarn, I gifted myself, because it's my birthday month, from Frankie Gray Fibers, which is a woman-based yarn dyeing company, independent out of Calgary. And this is their frog mini set, and look at that sparkle. Oh, and I bought this to make a another shawl for a yellow raincoat that I purchased also for my birthday month. And then I gifted myself several different colors of purple, oh, sweet, along with a base of this lovely charcoal. And I'm probably going to do a faded shawl. I'm really into knitting shawls right now. We're changing seasons, so I like to have things to wrap myself up with. And I have a ton of hand-knitted sweaters already, so I don't really need another one. But that's a problem for a different day. Isn't that lovely? So I am 3/4 of the way through this audiobook, and quite frankly, I put off making this video because I am struggling with this book. It is 14 hours long, which is a huge chunk of time. Now let's get into the plot. So in terms of the plot, this is really a book about Lee and her exploration and adventures, told along with her personal life and her relationship with her sister and her aging mother. Now, in terms of character, this book is more about Lee and her journey with those two aspects of her life, more so than science fiction and first contact, which is, I think, is why I'm struggling with it so much, is my expectations are completely off. Structure, it's told in the first person. It's a linear narrative. with flashbacks to her childhood. It's told in parts. Now, the first part is set in the ocean, and and I'm sure you've heard this before, but if you have read Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield, that book is a story about a married couple whose wife comes back from an underwater submarine voyage, and you don't know what's going on. And I really feel like part one fulfills the expectations of that untold story. So I think it would be a really, really interesting adventure to read Our Wives Under the Sea, and then read in Ascension, essentially part one. Um, and I read the book. It's good. It's not great. I had problems with it, but this isn't what it's about. Now, the second part is told about the lab, and I struggled so much. This needs an edit. I do not need hours and hours and hours learning about algae in order to understand this world that Martin MacInnes is setting. There is too much about algae. I think that when you read, you agree to suspend your disbelief. So I could have done with a whole lot less. This section really reminded me of the three body problem, because it was too much about physics for me, and I DNF'd that book. And quite frankly, if this wasn't on the Booker, I probably would have DNF'd this book as well. Just because it went on and on and on for too long. So part three is about her training to go into space, and I got on better with this. It was more about her pushing herself and her boundaries, and it's sort of at the same time that she is pushing herself, she's also distancing herself from her family. She has a very, very complicated relationship with her aging mother, who's showing signs of cognitive decline, as well as her sister. And she has a very traumatic background in terms of she was abused by her father while her mother and her sister knew about this and let it go on. And she's never really addressed it. And this sort of keeps popping up over and over, but more so in this part. Now, part four, which I'm on right now, it takes place in space. This is an absolutely beautifully written book. This man can write. It's very immersive. It's very haunting. It feels like you're underwater and going into space. Everything is so descriptive and precise. In terms of that aspect, I really, really enjoy. Now, in terms of themes, there is, if you have triggers about child abuse, that is definitely a main theme, and as well as climate crisis. So I'm going to keep walking and knitting and driving and doing all the things that I love to do, and I'm going to finish the last 4 hours and get back to you when I have thoughts on it, because this is a Booker longlisted book, and this is on the Booker Prize for a reason, and I trust the judges. So it is a cold and cloudy day. Overnight has turned into fall in Eastern Canada. Last week it was 41 degrees. Right now it's 13. So we're going to get going for a walk, aren't we, Ripley? Do you want to go for a walk, honeys? Come on, let's go for a walk. Come on, honey. Let's go. Come on. Look at these stunning flowers. So I have finished listening to all 15 hours of this audiobook, and it was a thing. Now, I have to tell you that there is always that one book on the Booker long list. A couple of years ago, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid, I did not like at all. Belinda Bauer's book, Snap, I couldn't figure out why it was on the Booker Prize. She is a good author. I have read her since, but it just didn't suit the long list that year. And I really think that this is one of those books. Now, this seems to be a love it or hate it kind of book, and I just want to put it out there that if you love this book, this is merely just my opinion and my reading tastes, and my reading tastes are never going to match all of yours. So if you have a different opinion than I do, take it with a grain of salt, put your comments in below. I would love to hear why you love this book, but I really did find this book one of the most problematic books I have ever read. It is disjointed. It's boring. There is absolutely no character development. I think that if you are going to appreciate this book, you really need to look at space as being a character in upon itself. And I think that you really need to be interested in the science fiction technological aspects of space travel. But it is beautifully written. This man can write. I just wish there was more substance to it and less creating this technological world. I didn't need to know an hour about biology. I didn't need to know hours and hours and hours upon how the spaceship works. Um, I didn't care for any of the characters. Although I have to say there is a small little portion about Hannah Lee, who is the main character's sister, at the end, and I thought that was well done, and I would have wanted to see more of her, but there just simply wasn't. So, I am going to put this in terms of all the books I've read on the Booker long list in number 13 spot, in the absolute last spot. In top spot, it's still Old God Time by Sebastian Barry, followed by, in second place, Pearl by Sean Hughes. This other, Eden by Paul Harding in number 6, and If I Survive You by Jeffrey Escoffrey in number 12. So thank you for spending your time with me. I really, really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and leave your comments in the description box below. I will also link all of the Booker videos that I've done in the description box too. And coming Sunday, there will be Best of the Booker Part 3 out of 4 parts. So we're almost halfway through those videos. So I will leave you with a little shot of Lake Ontario, which is just right outside my Jeep door. And I'll see you soon. Bye.